everyone. Good morning. Welcome to Watercolor Wednesday and a new release, you guys. We're going to get to that right away. But first, I got to say hi to all my people who are on here. Thanks for hopping on. You guys, this is going to be a really fun one today. So I can't wait to show you. We released this countryside series sort of came out about, I want to say, kind of the end of spring. And it was such a hit with you guys. And it started out with a throwback. And if you remember the throwback that came, it was sort of a foreground of tulips that came out with a windmill. And I just loved it. I loved the whole concept, the way that it sort of framed the background. And so I did a series of those and it's become one of my favorites. And so I've just added to that now because, we got holidays coming and we got to add to the holiday set. So I had some new ideas for it and I can't wait to show you guys. The thing about these, you have a large foreground that sort of frames your composition, and then you have something that goes in the background. And the background and there are things that come in this series that go in the background, but there are lots of options of things that go in the background. And then we sort of do away with the middle. And the middle is the most challenging, always. How to, graduate something, from the foreground back into the background. And so if we sort of eliminate that middle ground and we just have something in the background and something in the foreground, we're gold. We're gold, you guys. So that's sort of the whole concept of it. And me, I like to make things simple, especially when it comes to scenes. And I like to know what is the most frustrating thing about it. And I feel like that is trying to graduate things either forward as you come forward or as you go back. So larger things in the front and smaller things in the background. And that is what this series is. It's larger things in the foreground, smaller things in the background. So there are new additions to that line that is available right now. 7 sets because I couldn't narrow it down. So 7 new sets, but they are in a bundle. So you can get them, just whenever you want to get them. But they're available right now. There's a very substantial discount if you need to get all 7 right now. So I'll go over that. I'll show you some samples. I'll show you some samples from the first release for those of you who may not know what I'm talking about. I'm going to show you those and then we'll get to our project today. So you guys, I'm wearing yellow today because we're doing sunflowers. And so I just thought this is just fitting to do yellow. So, and in honor of Kim, who, if she was doing Watercolor Wednesday today, would be wearing yellow. I guarantee it. So let me say hi to all my people who are on today. Thanks so much again for hopping on with me. I just love this part of it. And I know sometimes it's a few minutes before we get to the project, but I love and I appreciate so much that you guys are on with me, and it just means a lot. So I got to just take a few minutes and just say hi to all of you who are on here. Suska, hello, welcome. Diane, talented Diane Mason. Hello, Diane. Good to have you. Patty, hello, Patty. Also very talented, Patty. Welcome. Glad to have you on. Carol Meyer, hello to you. Kathy Akers, hello. Teresa, she says, good morning. This is such a surprise so soon after the first one. Absolutely one of my favorites. Me too. And that's why it's so soon after. Because after I came out with that, I just kept thinking of new ideas to do it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we could do this. And then we could do this. So that's also why. So they are here. And you guys, I hope you love them as much as I do. Let's see. Barbara, hello from East Texas. Hot East Texas, I bet. Wow. Kathy from sunny Ohio, 78 degrees and not humid yet. Okay, but expecting humidity to rise in the next few hours. That is just probably typical for where you are, Kathy. We are overcast today. So that just means it's not as hot. But we just, we haven't had really hot weather, high 80s sometimes, but for the most part, pretty manageable. Hello, Julie. It's a beautiful Wednesday and lucky to be able to spend a little time with Bonnie and friends. That's how I feel. Lucky to spend a little time with all of you. Mary, hello from cloudy Michigan, quilting at church. So she'll watch later. Great. Have fun. This must be a quilting group. And tell me how long you've been quilting with this group, because I would love to know that. Jeanette, also, hello, Jeanette. Also, majorly talented Jeanette. Love to have you on. Diana, hello from San Jose. Sunny San Jose. Good to have you. Tony, hello, welcome. Welcome to you. Let's see, who else? Good morning, Debbie Hedges. Yep, overcast Salem. Can you tell Debbie is in our neighborhood? Marianne, happy to be here with all my friends. Yep, me too. From the Netherlands. What a beautiful new release, she says. Thank you, I can't wait to show you guys. Can't wait to show you. Linda from Wisconsin, sunny Wisconsin. And Becky, hello to you. Janice from Lake Elsinore, California. Oh my gosh, she says where it's going to be 106 today. Holy cow. Wow. Air conditioning. Air conditioning. That's all I can say. Mary, hello, Mary. Good morning to you. Well, I guess it's probably afternoon to you, Mary. Beautiful day in Brooms Island, Maryland. Carol, hello from Northwest Missouri. Vicky, love the changing seasons. Yep, we are going to be headed into fall. We saw our first big fall tree that had turned orange, coming home yesterday. Well, I guess it was a couple days ago. And so it's on the way. Fall is coming. Watching from sunny West Virginia. Beautiful day here, Becky. Good. Thank you for being on with us. Simone, hello. Ruth Ann, hello. Another release day. Can't wait. Jamie, good afternoon. Let's see. Good morning, Vicki Gross. Hello. And Shelly, hello. Oh, Shelly, I'm so sorry. Shelly says fighting cancer, so not always able to watch. Well, you know what? We love having you on today, so we'll take you as long as we can. Let's see. Tony, good morning, Queen Bee. Tony. Good morning, Tony. And Lori from Gilbert, she's got the flames going, no doubt. I'm scared to ask what the temperature is going to be there, Lori. I'm scared to ask. Terry, hello. Good morning, Bonnie and friends. Jumping on quick to see new bundle. Have friends coming over for lunch and we'll watch later. Always want to check in with my AI family. Well, we appreciate that, Terry. We love you and you are part of the AI family for sure. Dominique, hello from Jacksonville. Good to have you on. Let's see. Mary, hello. Okay, Mary Schweider says she has been she's quilting today. She's been quilting for over 40 years. Oh my gosh. Wow. Well, I guess I've been stamping for 40 years. So what does that say about us, Mary? I can't believe it. That is awesome. Wow. Okay. So is it the same group? Is this like a quilting bee that you're a member of? And how many of you have been there from the beginning? I really want to know that, Mary. You have to post that on here. Vilda from warm Northern California. She says, I've been here since 2020. Okay, good to have you. Let's see. Hello from the Netherlands, Peter and Wendy. Good to have you. Dorothy from her new home in sunny Regina, Saskatchewan. Awesome. Welcome. Sandy from Fort Myers, Florida. Jeanette, you are so welcome. Thank you. Thank you. Let's see. Barbara, Carol replying. Okay. Sherry says, good morning, AI family. So thankful to catch this live today. Been a busy month. Oh, I bet. How is this? Okay. How is the summer over, you guys? I can't believe it. How is it the end of August now? And we're going to be in September. What is going on? What is going on with that? I mean, we literally blink our eyes and wow, it's a new season. And you know what? It's going to be 2027. I mean, we might as well start doing our Christmas cards, you guys. And we might as well start putting our tree up. It's going to be earlier and earlier every year. I mean, for me, last year, I think I started the first part of November. This year, it might be October. It's what can I say? Okay, let's see. Allison, hello from Massachusetts. Good to have you. Kathy from Texas. Lori, oh my gosh, Lori Barnett in Gilbert. She says today's high will be 115. How? Wow. Um, let's see. I lost my place here. April, hot in Texas today, of course. Mary says, beautiful bundle. Thank you. Deborah, she says, beautiful Pennsylvania. Awesome. Welcome. Jeanette says, kids have been back to school for over a week here. Jeanette in Canada. Wow. You're kidding. That's crazy. Oh, wait. That's not. No, wait. Jeanette, you're not in Canada. Are you? Wait, who am I? Jeanette, are you in Michigan or Wisconsin? Jeanette, I need you to tell me where you are. Okay, Dominique, let's see. Been here since 2020 also. Awesome, you guys. This is so great. Hello from Colorado, Dorian. Did I say that right? Doreen? Welcome. Good to have you. Okay, you guys, we are going to get to our projects here. So let me just switch over. I'm going to go over the release and what's in it. There are 7 sets in it. And of course, there is a bundle. And I want to also make an announcement that Kim is doing a class on this, and it's already filmed and uploaded. So you can check that out on our website. The class is available on the website. And it is, let me just tell you, it is almost 4 hours of instruction with these sets. These are big sets, you guys, and there is a lot to them. So there is a lot of instruction, and these videos are long and in depth. So check that out. I'm going to show you everything that is in the bundle. We're going to be doing one today, and then I will show you some samples. Okay, Michigan. Okay, thank you. I don't know why I always think of you in Canada. Is it because you were in Kim's class? Am I thinking of the wrong person, Jeanette? Because I feel like you were in Kim's class when she taught in Canada. And so maybe that's why I'm always picturing you there. So, okay, April says this is a big release. It is. It's huge because I could not, you guys, truthfully, I could not narrow it down. I could not. So we've given a big discount on the bundle if you just absolutely have to have all of them right now. So they are all available on the website right now, you guys. Julie says, can you mention the sizes of the structures in the sets, please? Yes, I can. And we'll measure those because they are very similar to the previous set. So the previous set that came out at the end of spring, I want to say like late April, maybe early May, that the first release came out. We introduced it for the first time, and that came with 2 sets of structures. So there were 2 structures in each set, and I'll show you that actually. But they are very similar to those sizes because I want things to be interchangeable. So whatever structures you get, they're going to work with whatever of the foregrounds that you get. Okay, so that's my goal, is that you can interchange them. So I will for sure measure. Jeanette says, I never got the pleasure to take one of Kim's classes. Okay, I have got you mixed up with someone else, Jeanette. So I will make a mental note of that. So who was it that was in Kim's class that she always says hi to? So you're going to have to let me know if you're on today because I need to get that straightened out in my mind. Okay, all right, so let's switch over. And I'm going to show you what is in these sets, and then I will show you some samples. But here's what we're doing today, you guys. We're going to be doing this little sunflower. So I want to show you the sunflowers because there's a specific way to color them, and I want to make sure that you know. And we're going to be using some yellows and oranges to color these. So I wanted to do those. Plus, we're sort of getting into fall, and it's kind of sunflower season. So we're going to be doing this one. But let me show you samples of all of these. And the set. Actually, let me show you the sets first. And then I will show you the samples. Actually, I'll show you the samples that go with them. How about that? Here is the sunflowers. So this is what it looks like. And you can see that it is very similar to these previous ones. This is the daisy border. And you can see it's very similar in size and shape to these so that they'll be easy to switch out. Okay. And I'll show you these as well. But there are two sets of structures in this first release. So there was one, actually, let's just do this really quick. So there were 2 structure sets. So this was the Little Swiss Villa, And this was the cottage, so more of a European look to these cottages. So these were on the larger size to go with these foregrounds. Okay, and the reason these foregrounds are larger is because they have a lot of pieces in it, and they need to sort of be large enough that you can get in there to watercolor them, so that we get this variation. We need big things in the front, and then we want it to go back into the background. And so we have smaller things back here, but these smaller things need to be big enough that they're easier to color, whether you're using Copics, whether you're using watercolor, whatever it is. So that's why they are this specific size, and they fit perfectly on an A2 card. This is an A2 card right here, and you can see it's just beautiful. And these, because they are full scenes like this, large full scenes, you should frame these, you guys. You should frame these, because these should be in a frame and gifted. And then you could do a small little version of a card. So maybe you could just ink maybe a few of these little florals, put it on a little card, and add it to your gift if you're gifting it to someone. These should be in frames. They're large sets, which is why the tutorial, Kim's tutorial, is 4 hours almost, going through all of these sets. So she just does a fabulous job. She's an awesome artist, and she's so familiar with watercolor. She just could do it in her sleep. So this is an A2 card. So this will sort of give you an idea of how large these structures are. And like I said, they're very similar to each other, so that you can easily swap things out. Okay. So there was tulips, poppies, and then the daisies. So there were 2 of these florals that came out, and this was the original tulip that came with that. You guys, think of words. Okay, that came out with the windmill, the Dutch windmill. So this came out in that throwback, and then I just loved it so much. I kept it in the inventory. And these are separate. So these are sold separate. So you can mix any of these up, and you can mix them up with any of the structures that I have right now. So I'll go through all of that. So two structures like this, and then 3 of the foregrounds that are part of this. And it's all part of the countryside series. So whenever anything is added to it, it's the countryside series, because it's the combination of both. Okay, so this was the first release, these 3 and these 2. And it was just, you guys just loved it, and I did too. I just loved it too. So now, here are the new ones. So, of course, the sunflowers, which again, notice the composition, so that they can all be switched out. And here it is right here. And you see how it works. These also come with a little sentiment. So maybe you just want to do a small card, and you just want to do a little sentiment. Maybe you put a little bird in there. Maybe you have something really small in the background back here. You can do something very small. You can put a few hills in. In fact, I think one of these samples, which I can show you also from before, what is that sample? Maybe it was in here. Oh, here. It's on the package of the daisies. Do you see this little barn? This is much smaller than the barn that is being released today. Much smaller. But you can put smaller things. And you see you have more room for background and more things. But we're still, because our eye level is looking straight back, we're looking back at these daisies, and we're not seeing a lot of this here. Now, that doesn't mean you can't put things up a little bit higher. You can. And then you can add more things into the middle area. But you don't have to. You could keep it kind of at eye level, and you can push this back farther, and it's smaller, and it looks like it's in the distance, not like these that are up close. So you can see the difference here with this larger barn. It's much closer to these florals here. But we're seeing this graduated, these flowers that kind of gradually go back into the background, and then you have your focal point right here. So that's the concept of all of these. Okay, so here is this one. Here is this little, this is the one we're doing today. So the sunflowers, I want to show you how to color these sunflowers, because they can be a little bit intimidating with really light colors, and especially when there are so many of them grouped together. Okay, so I want to be sure to show you that. All right, so then we have, let's do the fall one. So this is a fall one, and you can see the difference here. So this one is not just florals. It's not just florals, it's a little fence, and we've got pumpkins in here, we've got a little branch, and let me show you what that one looks like. This is the foreground right here. Notice the shape. It's still the same shape. It's sort of like a U, and that's so that your structure can just fit down inside there. And you can see here the little barn. You can fit it right down inside this area and in between here, and so will all of your other things will also fit down inside there. Okay, so here's what this looks, and you can see on here this little basket, it's empty so that you can add some florals to it. So you can see this right here. I added these little mums to it, and then I added, some more foliage back in here and some little grasses by the fence. So you can sort of, kind of pull it all together. But again, this is not an A2 card as far as length goes, but this is 4.5 or 4.25 inches wide. And so you can see how large these compositions are. And then, if you move this little barn up a little higher, you can get a little more space in here, and your composition will be bigger. Okay, so that is this one. And here is the little farm scene. And then, you guys, we have Christmas. So here is the Christmas version of that. Notice again the U shape. So your little, structures will kind of fit down inside there. April says, Bonnie, that's one of my favorite things with your collections, the fact that you can mix and match the images. Thank you so much for thinking through all of these details when you create. April, thank you so much. I do. This is on my mind all the time, which is why I sort of try to construct things and size things so that they can be used in the most way. In the most different ways that you can use these and mix them up, because they're all different seasons. And, especially a little barn like this, this is great in, for Christmas. This is great in the summer, and it's great in fall. So you want to be able to put that with other things. For example, the little barn. So, you guys, I've got to get to those too. So hang on to that thought. There's a barn, you guys. I'll show you that. But you can use the same barn in here, and you just make it snowy, put a little wreath on the door, and you've got a little Christmas barn that can go with this one, And so can all of your other little structures like this. They can all fit with this down inside. So mix and match, including these little European ones, which would just be so cute in there, in between here. So these are just a little bit different. So they're not florals. Obviously, we've got Christmas. They're not florals, but they are in the same shape, and they will work as a foreground. And you can also just put your little sentiment in here, and you've got a really cute little card just by itself. Okay, so that is this one, and let me show you the sample of it. And it is right here. Okay, look how cute this is. Now in this sample, I did this so that I could show you how they switch out with the other ones. So that one is from this set right here. And it's this little cottage. So look how perfectly it fits right in here. It'll just fit. And this isn't specifically Christmas. This is, and you can see the little icicles hanging down and all the little detail in here. But look how cute this little scene is, you guys. And it's just basically coloring these little items, putting some snow in the trees. And, I would also, recommend you stamp the foreground first. Always stamp this first, and then stamp your little structure in the background. Okay? And by the way, these little detailed structures like this that have, a lot of things, a lot of detail in here, use the ink pad. You're inking, the thing about the ink pad is you have to be able to ink all of it. It's really hard to ink just a little part of your stamp with an ink pad. But when you're inking the whole stamp and it's very detailed, this is just a win. This is a win. And this is Kim who brought this into our inventory because she was so convinced that we need this. And you know what? She was absolutely right. we do need it, especially for details like this. And when you're adding a lot of really, really light colors, you want to be able to get that light color in here without muddying the image too much with the color on the lines. Okay, so this is from the last release, but you can see how everything is sized to sort of go together. Okay, next one is I think my favorite. So let me show you this one. And where did that package go, you guys? Okay, this one is this very traditional little foreground. And let me show you the sample, which I just absolutely love, you guys. Look at this cute church. It's my favorite, you guys. It's my absolute favorite. And the church can also be summer or fall or whatever. But look how they just tuck inside. They just tuck down inside. And depending on which one you're using, you can, when you're inking these, just leave off a little bit of the edges if you want to tuck it down farther inside. So this is the gray ink pad for most of these. Kim will go over, and you guys that are taking the class of hers, she goes in detail about all of this. So, but I think what I did was, I'm pretty sure I inked all of this in the gray. And then I think what I did was I went over it in the green. I think that's exactly what I did. So I inked it in the gray ink, inked the whole thing in the gray ink pad, stamped this whole thing, and you can see it right here, stamped this whole thing, and then lifted the lid of my stamp platform and went over the trees with the green. And it doesn't matter which green. I'm pretty sure I used the 177 green because of the trees. And I think it's so cute. And this could be, of course, notice the shape. The U can be for any of these structures. Can be for any of these structures. And here is the church and the barn, because they come together in this set. So let me just scoot this over now here so I can show you. These come together, the barn and the little church, and they will just continue to come in sets of 2. They're pretty big. And I just absolutely just love this whole idea. I just love this whole idea of it. And let me show you. And here's the second one, by the way. Here's the second one. This is a little Santa's workshop. Obviously, it's very Christmassy, but this can be for any. And here it is actually on the package. So this is the one that I showed you that had the other cottage on it. And you can see here that it is on the front. This is the actual Santa's workshop that comes in the set, not this one. This was from the previous set, but I wanted to show you that you can mix and match these. You can also take bits and pieces of it too. You know, you can take out part. You could take the little snowman and the tree out. You can put it over to the side. You guys, there's so many things that you can do with these. But these two come together, this Victorian house, and let me just show you this one. With this Victorian house. This is another one that can absolutely be in any season. Absolutely in any season. And here is that poinsettia that goes with it, which I also love. Notice the U shape. So the poinsettia little, this little foreground can be with any of these. It can be with the church. It can be with the barn. It can be with obviously with the little Victorian house. It could be with any of these, even the little Santa's workshop, because it looks like a wreath around it. So it doesn't have to be something that is growing in the foreground, that is actually sitting on the ground. And that's the reason that I did it, is because I wanted to show you that you could do this as to where it looks like it's a wreath and it's just framed in here. And it almost looks like a snow globe. It almost looks like a snow globe to me. And so I just love the whole look of it. So there are so many, obviously you can use any of the other foregrounds with the Victorian house. And this again is these are all very easy to do. The structures are always colored in the 2. So when I'm doing it, and I'm sure Kim is, I'm not sure what specifically she's doing in here, but you always have this option to do the large images. So the, the church, the barn, the 2 little structures, to do it in the blue and the brown. because they're not quite as detailed, and you can pull those colors out of the lines, which is really important to do. Diana says that Victorian house with the poinsettia is gorgeous. I think that is my favorite. My mom loved poinsettias, so I have a soft spot for them. It is. And again, notice the size and notice the shape. So your little things will tuck down inside here. You could almost have, I could have actually brought this up a little bit more and just really tucked this house down inside this little wreath. And it just would have been so cute. How cute would it be with the church also? It would be so cute. This is an A2 size card right here, I believe. Actually, you know what? Let me see. It might be a little shorter. It's a tiny bit shorter, but it's very close. So you can see how big these little scenes are. That's why I say to put it in a frame. Put it in a frame. Be sure to sign. I can see I didn't sign this, but be sure to sign it. This is your work, and especially this combination. And when you're putting things together like this is very much your own work. And a stamp is a tool. So don't ever think you can't sign your work because you're using a stamp of an image. Don't ever think that, because how everything comes together, how you're coloring it, what your, what season it is, those are all things that you are putting in of your own art and your own ability. So Suska says a poinsettias would be lovely as blue. Oh, I never thought of that, Suska, but absolutely 100%. Love all of them. Bonnie, you've outdone yourself again. You guys, that's so kind. That is so kind of you. Thank you so much for your feedback, you guys. You should see me when I'm doing these things. I'm just like, I just can't, mostly I can't wait to show you. That's my biggest thing, is I can't wait to show you how you can make these things that you can actually, put in a frame, actually display in your house for your Christmas decorations, or put on a card. And a lot of these things are very simple. These things are simple and things that we've done before. Snowy trees. And notice these trees here are in the foreground. And if you look let me just show you this really quick. Let me find those. Here's what these trees look like, because they are in the foreground. So what we've done in the past, and let me find a Christmas one. Okay, let's look at this. So do you see the trees in the background and these trees in the foreground? This is what we have always done in the past. Stamp them solid with a solid tree. And, maybe sometimes, swing them out a little bit to make them bigger, but they are still in the background. And, we usually put something larger in the foreground, but these trees are in the foreground. So we're going to see a little bit more detail on these. So, you want to color these, and this is in the class. Kim will go over all of this in the class, but you want to color these, and then you want to add your snow a little bit more strategic. When you're putting the snow in here. And you can see you're going to do each little clump one at a time. And you're going to kind of follow the shape of the branch. Just kind of follow the shape of the branch. And that's how you're going to apply the snow to your tree. But you're going to have plenty of color in here if you're coloring this tree. But you want to kind of strategically, normally what we do is we just put snow on these things, just, blobs of snow. But when you're coming to the foreground, and if you see these little details, let me just zoom in here really quick. You can see these little details in here where the branches come forward. And this is what makes it look three-dimensional and not flat, because the branches don't just go out to the side. They come forward, and you can see them here. Do you see these branches right here? Do you see these, how they come forward? That's the line that you're going to follow when you apply the white paint. It's so easy. You're going to get this, get green on this, get it fairly dark, and then you're going to start applying the paint. And you're going to just kind of follow these lines right here. And the green is going to tuck through, and you want to just concentrate that white onto the limb that's sticking out. Okay? I'm probably making this sound way more complicated than it is. It's not complicated, you guys. It's not. Just follow those directions. Don't go too far in. Don't go too far into the tree so we can still see the green. And before you do it on a card, practice it. Just practice it. Stamp it on a piece of scratch watercolor paper, and even just this part. Even just this part. Stamp it on a piece of scratch paper and practice putting the snow on the tree. I promise you it's going to make a big difference. with this. And you also have the option of these here in the front of your packaging. It's going to show you exactly how it's supposed to look. And you can see that the white paint comes onto the limb right here, but it doesn't go all the way back. It doesn't go all the way back into here because the other limbs are hanging over, and that's where the snow is collecting above it, okay? That's why it looks realistic. So this part is showing because this part is protecting this, and it's showing up here, and you're just layering it down. So same, this one here is protecting this area, and now these are showing, and this is where the snow is collecting on the edge of the branch, okay? Super easy, you guys. Don't overthink it, but that will make this tree and this tree similar. So it will look like one cohesive composition. So it won't look like this looks totally different than this over here. This is just in the foreground, okay? Let's see. Barbara says, would it be fairly simple to just use the left or right? Absolutely. Yes, absolutely you can. Absolutely. And these are all clear. So you're going to be able to see through them exactly where to stamp them on your canvas. So you'll be able to see exactly where to put it. And you know what I would do if you were going to use the ink pad? I would probably take some Post-it tape and just tape off half of it. So that you could use half of it, when you're stamping, and just stamp this section here. So you're not getting the whole thing. Or you guys, and I've done this before, cut it apart. Cut it apart, it's clear. And you could easily line it up again. So you know what, I've done that. I've done that multiple times. And it just depends on how you want to use it. If you're going to make a bunch of cards and you're only going to use part of it and you want to use that ink pad, just find a simple little place to cut it apart, and when you stamp them together, you can use your pencil and just fix the line. So that's just another option that you can do. Okay, so we are going to get to our project. So let me show you these again so that you can see what they are. You can see why I could not stop. And actually, you know what? I could have done an even dozen of these. I really could have. But I like this traditional one because the traditional one sort of goes with anything. It's, you can put it in front of the little church. It's not as whimsical as this one. So that's why there are two. This one is a little bit more whimsical. You can, it's got the little mailbox. It's got the little snowman. And it's just a little more whimsical. This one is a little more serious and traditional. So that's why I wanted it for the church, to be able to put something really similar. And I also wanted a little gate here so we could put a wreath on it. And, I just think that's just, it's so cute to put that wreath on there. And easy, super easy. Okay. So there are two foregrounds that are Christmas, these two. And again, like I said, one's a little bit more whimsical, one that's a little bit more traditional, but both of them done the same way. And you can see the trees done the exact same way. Okay. And then you can also mix in some things. So this is just some little, the little branches set and some, little foliage and holly. And then I added, a little bit to the house. The structures don't have anything with them. So this is the actual structure here. They don't have anything with them. Because they're very simple. And here's where you're sort of focusing on this area. And because it's tucked down in here, you don't have a lot of room to put anything. You don't have a lot of room. But you can see with this one here, when I did this sample, do you see how this sort of looks like a U? And I just left off part of this, of the structure. And again, they're clear. So you can see exactly where to place it. And then I just grew some little foliage. This is probably the tiny little, the little vine, this one right here. And I just sort of grew it up the sides of the house so that I didn't, encroach on this area. And you want to leave, a little space between these things. And in other words, you don't want to just go straight from this into, your sky or somewhere like that. Okay. All right. So two Christmas ones, 6252 and 6251. So these two, and then the poinsettias, which I had to do. You guys, I had to, because I want you to see that you can do it like a wreath. You can also do it and add snow to it, just like we did on these. You could put it in the front, you could add snow to it, and you can make it part of the scene. Like there's just poinsettias growing up in front of this little Victorian house, which I just also love, this Victorian house, you guys. It's just so cute. And there's so many ways that you can use it. It's so cute. So here is the poinsettia. Now this one, again, in this, because it's got a lot of detail in here. But what happens when you color, you add a lot of color directly over these gray lines, it picks the color up. So when you're doing the poinsettias, which is, there's a lot of detail in these leaves, and there are two colors. They're green leaves that look just like the red. So it's easier to do it in the gray so that you can, you can just color this easier. And then you just color this, and then it changes color, and it sort of fades it out a little bit. Okay, questions. Let's see, Marianne, be perfect for Christmas. I'm painting the 4 seasons and putting them in a beautiful distressed white frame with 4 areas for photos. Christmas gift for my daughter and son-in-law. Oh my gosh, this will be perfect. Absolutely. Ruth Ann, so creative, Bonnie. The interaction between stamps is amazing. Love your imagination. It keeps us on our watercolor toes. Thank you. Continue, God's blessing. Ruth Ann, thank you so much. Okay, let's see. So 3-dimensional. Sheila, yes. Ellen, okay. Barbara says, or cut out the paper and use foam pads to raise it up on the card. Absolutely, yes. You can do that. 100% you can do that. Yep, that would be so neat. That would absolutely be beautiful. You can do that. Okay, so 3 Christmas ones here, and then 2 sets of structures. Oh, one fall, you guys. 2 fall. So the thankful border 6254, which is just like those 2 Christmas ones, which I also wanted to do. You guys, I wanted to do a fall one. And then remember, you can add your little flowers into here. So this is open so that you can just put whatever, little florals you want in there. Let me just show you that. So you can see here, these little florals I put in here. And then I added some grasses in here. Just a few little things. You don't do a lot. And then I put some leaves on the tree and added some, just up in here with the little branches. And the sunflowers. I had to do the sunflowers, you guys. So there are 2 sort of fall themed. And then the 2 structure sets. So the Victorian house and the Santa's workshop, these 2 come together. And then the country chapel set. So the little chapel and the barn, these come together in a set. Okay, you guys, let's get to our project. Here. So again, this is in a bundle. There are 7 sets in here, and it is in the bundle. You can see it on our website, artimpressions.com, and you'll see the rotating slideshow. And you can just click on that, and you will. It'll take you directly to this. April, that is so kind. Thank you so much. Would you use 565 to create white cream colored poinsettias? Yep, sure would. And you know what? I would probably still stamp it in the gray and then add that so that you can get that mix of color, because 565 is a really dark, dense color. And you would have to, if you were going to use that color to ink the poinsettias, you would have to probably stamp it off one time. And then you don't want to lose the lines on the inside. So you know what? You might want to, Diana, you might want to just try it. Because wow, would that be beautiful? I never thought of that, but yeah, you absolutely could do that. It would be so beautiful. Okay, so let's get to it here. We are going to get to our project, and like I said, we are going to do this one with the little sunflowers. And the other thing about these is you don't need a lot of other things. You need your foreground and you need your little structure and then a few little things. It doesn't take much to finish these backgrounds. I've got a few little flowers in the front and a few grasses, and this is from the branches set, and that's it. That's all we need. So here's how I stamped it. I want to show you guys this, and then I want to show you what I used. So the little grass. This is just always. And then what I did here on this, Also because I wanted to kind of extend this down a little bit, and so I added a little bit of foliage here. And that was just the big vine. So you can just, ink a little bit of the tip and you can sort of bring this down. What you don't want to ever do is add a line of grass here where you're just making a line, because that just sets your sets everything in the ground. And you want these things to kind of continue down, these little branches. You want it to just look like they just continue to just keep going, okay, like this. Because we know that sunflowers have very tall stalks and they're tall. So we don't want to cut them off right here. We don't want to cut them off. But we can add a little more foliage in here just by inking the tip. And let me just show you. So we're just going to ink this, and then we're just going to add just a little bit in here and not finish that off. So no straight line here. No straight line where we're showing a horizon at all. So just let these things just kind of fade out, just like that. Okay, and then you can see on here that it adds a little bit more greenery if you're putting it in an oval like this. It kind of brings it down more. Okay, but you see how that just kind of frames everything here, and you've got, and I know I've talked about this before, about how things are so much more harmonious if they are in a circle like this, unless you have a border. If you have a border like this, or in other words, you've cut it out and you've got a finished border here, that's different. But when you're doing something, like this, you can see how that just sort of makes it look really harmonious. Like everything is just sort of framed here, like a natural frame. Okay? And I love the idea of just that little background. I just think that's so cute. And you know what? You could get an oval mat, and you could just put this in a frame, you guys. Have I said that enough times? It needs to be framed, you guys. It needs to be framed. Okay, so let's get to it here. Let me just zoom out a little bit so it's not quite so close. All right, so the little grasses that go with the foliage set one. This is the first set, okay? And then we're going to use this, but you could also use the small one. And we're just going to use this to put these little blue florals in the background. And yellow and blue are complementary to each other. So when you've got yellow in anything, if you add some blue in here, it's a win. It's always a win. Yellow and blue together with the blue sky, and you can just see how pretty it looks together. It's a natural combination. Okay, so I just used the tops of these, and I wanted something that was a little bit taller. Like these look like little shrubs that were blooming, and so I just used these taller ones and just inked a little bit of this stamp, not the greenery, just the blooms. And you can do the same with this one. You can do the same with it. If you don't have this larger one, you can do it with this one if you have this one, okay? And then the leaves for the tree. So we're gonna do these little trees in the background. So you can use this leaf right here that comes with this set, or you can use this leaf right here. And this is the one that I happen to use, but you can use either of them. They're gonna work, okay? Either one. And then the branches set, okay? And we're gonna use, let's see, which one did I use? This one right here, this branches. It makes a great little tree, and I should use it more often because it's a great little stamp. And this is my go-to all the time. And this also makes a great tree, and I don't use this enough. So, it just, and if you want to hang something over, so we've got the foreground, but you could hang something over, where it looks like there's a tree, on the side. This is also a great one for that. So this whole set is just, it's like this, you guys. Like the sample on here. You just hang it right over. Okay? So that's all. That's all that we're using, is just a few little things in the background. And we don't need a lot because this is what we've got going on in the front. Okay? So I am using multiple things for these little, and I'm going to zoom in so that you can see. And the biggest challenge, when you're doing something like this, is that you can see each individual flower. Which is why, what I meant when I said they have to be big enough. They have to be big enough so that you can get the detail, because when it's in the foreground, there's detail. We're seeing detail. Now, if these were way in the background, you're just going to see like the basic shape of the sunflower and on a tall stalk. That's what you're going to see. You're not going to see all the details of the centers and the leaves, the petals. You're not going to see that. But we're going to see that here, and then we're going to see it as it fades back, okay? Back into the background. So we have to be able to distinguish between these florals so they don't look like they all blend together. Absolutely, Ellen. I'm glad you said that. Yes. Just put in the comments if you want to win this. I will be giving it away to you. Let's see. A mushroom and a gnome one would also be so cute. Yes, it would. For all my gnome fans, you guys, there are so many of you. You'd be amazed at how many people love gnomes still. Just still love them. They just do. And it doesn't matter if they go out of style. It doesn't matter if you don't see them in the store. They still love them. There are literally millions of you that love them. So that is a great idea. Great idea. Love your ideas, you guys. Put it in here. If you think of something that would be really cool, put it in the comments. And yes, put if you'd like to win. Okay? All right, so we have to be able to distinguish between these two. And we also need to be able to show that they are florals and that they're coming up from the inside. But these little centers actually stick up a little bit. So there are a couple of things to deal with to make this look more real. These look more realistic. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. Let's just start out with these, and I'll show you what I inked them in. So again, they're clear. These are clear, so it's easy to see where to line things up. So I inked them in this color, the 993, and I tried several things. I tried them in the gray. I tried them in this, inking the whole thing with this, but I didn't like the way that the color looked with this light yellow. With the light yellow. I think this is much more realistic. This is where I landed, was on this combination, because I feel like this is the best and the simplest way to do it, where you don't have to be so, it doesn't have to be an hour ordeal, coloring these little sunflowers. Okay, so I inked the blooms in the 993. So of course I used a stamp platform. You just have to. Because you have to be able to get two colors on here. And you'd lift the lid, you leave this, in a stable place where it's not going to move. And then you color the blooms first, a few at a time. So, color a few of these, stamp your image. Go back, color these, stamp your image. And just keep going. This takes about 4 times to get across, all the way across here. Because by the time you get all the way here, these have started to dry and they're really light. So you want to just do a few at a time. And when you're using a stamp platform, nothing's going to move. You can just ink it, re-ink it, and then you can see if there's some light areas, you can go back over it again. And these don't need to be stamped off. So when you're doing a structure like this, you want to always stamp it off. But these, when you're doing florals, foliages like this, they don't need to be stamped off, okay? So I went through this, stamped it, it took me at least 4 times to get through here, but it's worth it to get it right, because it really matters how you stamp things. It really does. And you can set yourself up for success if you just start out the right way, okay? And trust me from experience. Sometimes I stamp it and then I think, you know what, it's going to be fine. And it isn't. It's not. And then I wished I would have just done it the right way. So it takes a little bit of time to go through and ink these individually, but you're going to be really glad that you did, because your final project is just going to be amazing. It's just going to be amazing. These are all so simple, and Kim is such a great teacher. If you need to have some of you literally can look at this and know exactly how to paint it. You can see it, and there are samples on your package. There are samples on here so that you can see exactly how to do it, and you can look at this and you can paint it. And other people want to have specific instructions. What colors are you using? What are you stamping first? How are you applying this color? Where are you putting the shadows? And that's all covered in the class. And like I said, it's almost 4 hours long. But she's just a great teacher. She's such a great teacher. So it's just great having her do it. And then it cuts, my time as far as my Wednesdays to be on here with you. But I want to make sure that you still understand the concept and what we're doing here and how to, stamp these things and how to color them. Okay. So stamp it in this color first. This is where I landed, the 993. It's more of a darker yellow, and it's a little misleading on the screen. For some reason, it looks really gold. on here, and it's not. It's a beautiful like butter yellow. It's just a beautiful color. And this is what I use to stamp these. Now, some of them I had to go over, ink again and stamp it again to make sure that I've got good coverage on these blooms. Okay, so I inked it in this, and then I added these two colors. The 55, this is a lemon yellow, and then the 946 later on. So these. And then you can go in, you can add the 925 also. And the more colors and combinations, the more realistic it looks. It looks, because flowers especially are not all one exact shade. They're different shades, and especially the way that the light hits them. Okay, Felicia says, applying the shadows is my learning curve. It's difficult for me sometimes. Okay, Felicia, you are not alone. Shadows are the hardest things. And the thing about it is, when it comes to a structure, they're all applied the same way. And pretty much, I try to, keep it to as simple as I can. Because once you learn to apply it this way, and you learn to apply it the same on each of your structures, you'll sort of go out on your own with things, and you'll start noticing, the more that you do, the more that you paint, you'll start noticing shadows and the way that they fall, and you'll start to duplicate that. But you first need confidence. You need to be successful with what you're doing, and then you will just go on and get your own style, and you will be amazed at what you're learning. Okay, so let's see what else. Can you also huff on the stamp to activate the color? You can, not like you can with rubber. Not like you can with rubber. So here's the thing with rubber, and let me just say this again, because I know I've said it before. When it's stamped on a repeat like this is something that's stamped on a repeat. When you're doing flowers and foliage, a lot of time, the majority of them are stamped multiple times over and over again. Those are rubber, because rubber will hold the color. So you can get, when you ink this, you can get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 even, and then you can huff on it, and it will activate the color again. 6, 7, 8, and you can just keep going. You can't do that with clear. Clear will give you about 2. And so when we are stamping with clear stamps like this barn, we're going to ink it and we're going to stamp it off 1 time. When it comes to rubber, we stamp it off at least 2 and sometimes 3 times when we're doing structures like this. Okay? Because the rubber hangs on to the color. And so when you're stamping it like this, let's just say we're stamping it, we're going 1, 2, 3, 4. Do you see that 3-dimensional look? That's why. Is because we need the dark color to come forward and we need the light color to fade back. And that's why we get this 3-dimensional look. And that's why flowers and foliages are rubber, because of that. Okay, because we can't get that with clear. And so clear is more for things that are stamped 1 time, 1 basic image, like these. Like these. These are stamped 1 time. The barn, stamped 1 time. That's why. The foliage is rubber, because it's stamped multiple times. Okay? So it's probably a bit of a learning curve, going from rubber to clear. I know a lot of you have been stamping forever, and so you just love rubber. I do too. I love rubber too. But when it comes to things like this, and this is what really made me switch over, is positioning. And with watercolor and a lot of these stamps, you need to be able to see where they're going. And a lot of them are big. And we have, little positioners like this. But when you're doing a big stamp, it's difficult to even, get them in here and use this. So when you can use a stamp platform and you can lay that on there and see exactly where it's going. So for example, stamp this first. This is clear. Stamp it first. Okay. Then you want to put your barn right in the exact space. Okay. Well, you can use a positioner like this, but it's still hard to see. It's still hard to see exactly where it's going. And you're still going to probably have to guess a little bit. But with the clear, you can lay it right on here. You can lay it right on here and see exactly where it's going to go. Close your lid and you've got your stamp positioned exactly where you want it. Sheila says, I always wondered why the difference in stamps. Thank you for explaining that. You're welcome. I know I get asked that a lot of time, and a lot of it is because a lot of people just love rubber. They just love rubber. It's what they're used to. They've been stamping with it forever, and it's amazing. It's an amazing product. But we have a manufacturer of the photopolymer that is in the US and does an absolutely fabulous job. We have the best quality clear stamps ever, and rarely do we ever have an issue with them. Rarely. And they really know how to make these clear stamps for watercolor, because it's better if the lines aren't completely continuous. Do you know what I mean? Which is why I say, don't ever, when you're adding pencil, don't ever trace around something completely. Don't ever trace around it. You want to just add little bits of it. And especially when you're adding your details with your twin tone, don't ever just frame something, okay? Because it's better if the lines are broken up a little bit. And then it also creates this bit of a pooling effect, which is just really beautiful for watercolor. So it's a win-win for me, the clear stamps. And so that's what I've been doing the last few years, is I've really tried. Now it's not the case always, but for the most part, things that are stamped over and over, unless it is a flower that is all inclusive or a very large bloom that you'd have to re-ink again. If it was a very large bloom, something that you would tend to stamp one time. So for example, one sunflower, would probably be clear. Hello, Laura. Good to have you. She says, got to watch the replay, but wouldn't miss it. You're the best at tips and rules. Great, you guys. Awesome. Okay, Robin says, when I look at the class, I see a number of addition sets. Do I need those in order to do the class? The additions are for things that go in the background. So for example, it would be for a little tree like this, or the grasses that go in the front. And I don't think the list is very long, but I think if you have them, that would be a win. That would be a win, because you're going to use them over and over again. So the things that she's using in here, like maybe this little tree, this would probably be on the list. The little branches, things like this would probably be on the list. And there are things that you can use in all of them. You're going to be able to go back and use in all of them. So I think they're just for things in the background, or maybe a few little things here in the foreground. Tony says, I agree. The clear stamps are great quality. Yeah, that makes a big difference, because if we don't have good quality clear, then it's pointless to have it, because we have to have good quality impressions from the good quality clear. So like I said, it's what I've been doing. That's kind of been my rule of thumb, over the last few years, because I am doing more things like this. And I love that you can mix and match. And in order to mix and match, you have to be able to line things up and place it, because it's not all in one stamp. Okay, so let's get to our project. So these are the colors we're going to be using with the sunflowers. So I'm going to put some of this, and actually I want to kind of keep zoomed in so that you guys can see what I'm doing here. And this is the 993. And this we're going to add is the 055. And you can also, when you're coloring these things, pull up some pictures of, sunflowers, and just look at it. Look at where the lighter colors are, where the highlights are. Look where the darker colors are, and how they kind of come together. These are going to do the same thing that any of the other flowers that we've done. They're darker where the petals connect to the center here. But the centers in this case are domes. These kind of stick out a little bit. So we want to color them a little bit different with a highlight, okay? All right, so we're going to add, a little of this orange as well. This is the 946. This is the 946 orange. And then we'll add a little bit more of this really dark. And this is the 925. And, keep in mind that you can mix. So if your colors kind of mix up a little bit together, that's okay. That's okay, because these colors are going to change. And basically what we have is a yellow flower with some orange shadows that sort of bring it together. Okay, that's basically what we're doing. All right, so I've got my water and I'm going to just dip my brush. See the bubbles on that, you guys? I know I'm kind of off screen here. Tap it off, and now you're going to just pinch it off. Pinch it off. So we get the majority of, the color off. And we're in these little, areas, so we don't want it to be too wet. So the first thing that we're going to do, once we've inked it, so we inked it in that, in this 993, and then the green is this one, so the 177. So just go back, once you've got all the blooms done, go back and do all the greens, all the greenery. And then, you know what I do? I always stain the stamp first because it's so hard to see where the leaves are and the blooms are. It's very hard to see that, but you can stain it with a red or a pink. If you have a dark pink, color the whole thing with that pink. And now you can see exactly where everything is. Or any other color will clean off, when you go to clean it off. But the red stains the photopolymer, which is a win for me. Okay, so I've got my brush ready to go. And we're going to start out, on this side. And I don't know why I always start out on this side and move to my left. I think that's because I'm so right-brained. But I do. I just noticed that about myself, you guys. You know what? At 69, I'm continuing to learn about my idiosyncrasies. Tell me I'm not alone, you guys. Okay, so we're going to start out with this large bloom, and we're going to pull the colors out. This is where the color is going to be coming from, is in here. And just like always, we're going to just try to concentrate that color where we can. On the big blooms, we can concentrate the color a little bit more. But when we get into these small ones, we're just pulling the color out because we don't really have room to go darker and lighter. But on these big florals, we've got room to get some different colors in here. Okay? Do you see how that all just now directs those petals down to the center? Just directs them all the way down. Okay, and these, we're going on to this one. Same here where those petals connect. And remember, the sun, the light is coming from up high. So we can see a little bit of a highlight here on the tops of these. Now this little one right here, we can't really, do too much with this. It's too far in the distance, but we can just pull the color out. This one's pretty big. So we can just kind of focus that color to the center. That's what we want to do. And make those petals, kind of draw them up. This one too is pretty small. These petals are pretty small. So I'm just starting at the center and just adding a little bit of color in there. And then I'm getting a lot of color on my brush now, so I'm just going to dip it and pinch it off. And make sure you don't get it too wet. Better that it's a little too dry and you have to dip it again than if you get it too wet. Anything that's down inside like that. Do you see how these two, this is such a little thing, you guys, but it really makes a difference. These two little petals are hidden back in the back, so they're going to be pretty dark. And then these that are on the top, see, we can leave just a little bit of a highlight here, and then we'll come back in with that light yellow. Anything that's kind of hidden back here. And just, enjoy the process, you guys. It's such a fun thing to do. Don't stress out about stuff. And, especially with watercolor, because it's very forgiving, and especially once you have the basic image down. You got the basic image down, you're good to go. Okay, and here, and now this large one, here's where we can really do this kind of mix of color and get our highlight in. And just make sure that little center area is the darkest. These are pretty small little petals, so we're just pulling some color out on those. This one, you know, is pretty big, so we can try to focus that color to the inside. And just touching, you know, some of these small little ones, just touching them will just bleed the color out. You don't even have to really use your brush much. Okay, so that's the first step. And you can see that they're, number one, they're separated from each other. So we can see that they're individual. And number two, you can see that the petals are going to the inside. Okay, that's a win already. That's a win. Okay, so now let's go through and let's do the green. Let's do the green. And we're just going to kind of make one pass here, pull that green from the lines. And just get this little area here. These are going to be pretty light to start. And then we'll be adding more color to it. And just keep going. Make your way all the way across. This is why it really helps to stain your stamps, because you can see how tiny this little stem is in here to color that green. But you can see it. You can see it when you have the when you have that stamp kind of stained. You can see where all the details are. See this little stem back in here too. And if you miss a couple, like, that's okay. You can always add some more green to it. Okay, so let's just go ahead and do another pass on the green. And then we'll go on to the blooms again. So this is 177. So just take a little bit of this and just try to focus the color on underneath, on the bottom. So don't try to color them all in solid. So remember, the light is coming straight down, and that just means it's going to catch right here on top of the leaf. And it's always better that things aren't colored in solid. It's always better that it doesn't look exactly the same. It sort of gives, it gives a little detail to the leaf in that it's not exactly flat. Anything that's, you know, back in the background, you know, is going to be darker. So just kind of, you know, anytime you can leave just some little white spots, it's just going to be a win. Okay, that's really all we have to do. You can go back in it again. You can make it as dark as you want. Here's where we want to add a little dark, is right under the bloom, because that's going to cast a shadow under here. So we want to make that really dark. Anywhere the blooms are sort of hanging over, that's just going to cast a shadow. So we just automatically do it. If you have a little bloom like this and you've got it attached to a stem, it's gonna have a shadow. And that just means that it's just a little bit darker underneath so that you can see that. You see how that looks like that's just casting a shadow on that stem? Just a tiny little detail. Okay? All right, so now let's go on with the bright yellow. So we're gonna add some of this now. And we're just going to add it to the petal. This is just gonna absolutely brighten it all up because, you know, sunflowers are so bright. And just kind of let it mix in with that other color. Just kind of let it blend together. Get a little bit more here. And this is the 55. Whoops. Let's get back over here. And just keep going. Just keep going all the way around. And you know, these that are out here, we're just kind of laying that color on. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to be super careful with these. We're going to get that mix of color. And keep going. We're almost there. And I'm still kind of concentrating that color to the center. We're getting that little mix. Okay, did I get them all? I think I did. Get all these little petals. Okay. All right, we're getting there. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take the bullet tip of this one. This is the 946. We're going to take the bullet tip of this, and we're just going to go to the center, and we're just going to add some of this color in here. Just to the center like that, okay? You don't have to get every single petal. You know, we're just adding some of this dark color. And again, so that we can see where the petals connect, where it's going to be the darkest. And normally we don't just, you know, use the marker direct to paper like this. But in this case, these flowers are so light that we can do that. Okay, we're getting there. All right, so now we're going to take our brush and just go over this a little bit and drag this color out. Just drag it out a little bit. Just make sure your brush isn't too wet. And try to concentrate that color, you know, to the center. And just kind of let it blend. Whoops, did I miss one here? I think I did. We can just take a little bit of this. Okay. And okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take the brown. So this dark brown, so the 969. So let me just turn this around here. 969, okay? And we're going to put it on like this. So just kind of a little in a round circle where we can see that highlight on top. And then we're going to go back over it again. So this is going to be pretty light to start out with. And these, smaller ones, we don't have to worry so much about a highlight with these because they're clear in the background. But these, that are taller, so we're just going to see that little highlight in the center. And it's going to, basically what it does is it's going to lift that up and make it look like a dome. If we don't have a highlight on it, it's going to just be flat. Okay, and then let's go over it again. And darker, on the bottom. And the more times that you go over it, the darker it's going to be. And take your time. It's always worth it to just take your time. Okay, so now one more step. We're going to take this one and the bullet tip of this one. And we're going to go around some of these little petals that may have been washed out. And we're just going to hit these like this. And it doesn't have to be, you don't have to do them all, just where you think that, some of these may have just washed out a little bit and I'm not seeing the edge, of that petal. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to take the twin tone and we're going to get, actually, you know what, I need a little bit more color on this guy. This one kind of got left out here. Okay, so now we're going to take the twin tone. Let me zoom in. Okay, and we're going to get some of these areas in here where these petals connect. So just like that, just like that. And especially on these, these ones that are larger. Okay, and we're just going to kind of come around here. Some of these smaller ones, we don't have to worry about as much because they're going to kind of fade out a little bit. But these larger blooms, we can really get a little bit more detail in here. Okay. And we'll get this one here. And kind of pay attention to the shapes, especially with these that are kind of folded over, because we're only seeing part of it. And you can get this little edge here pretty detailed. And it will make that little flower look like it's just bent over. Same with this one. You can get this really dark in here, so you can see that shape of that flower. And then this one here that's still in its, just a little bud. And one more up here. Okay, and they do kind of have a circle. You know, some of these darker ones, they do kind of have a circle at the top where you could kind of get that a little bit darker in there. You know, and on the smaller ones, you don't have to show it as much. Diana says, those small details with the twin tone just bring the flowers to life. Yep, it does. And it's so much about the dark, dark and light, light. And that's why the highlights and these dark areas are so important to make it look realistic. It's just flat. And especially when you have something, you know, really light like this, it's hard to get that dimension, but you can do it. You can totally do it. If you just kind of pay attention to these little things, you know, where you have the darkest colors. And this is just, we're just doing this with markers, you guys. It's so simple, but it works. It's just simple little rules. And getting these dark areas in. And, you know, like I said, you could pull up some pictures of, you know, sunflowers and look at the colors, the different colors that are in them. And it's a mix of colors. They're all different. Okay, so that's honestly, that's about all we have to do. You can go through and make these darker if you want to. You could add more yellow to it, and you can darken all of the petals and, you know, make them a little bit more yellow. But let's go on and let's do the little barn now. So this one is stamped in the two colors. So the blue first, the 565, and then right over the top, the 969. 565. Was I off screen? 565, 969. Right over the top. Stamp it off one time because it's clear. One time. And then we're going to pull the color out of the lines. And just drag it out. Like this. A little bit of a shadow underneath these little barn windows. And actually would probably see a little bit inside. Especially in here. And this is the shady side. This is also really important that you get that shady side in here. That's a little darker color. And blue is always a win. A dark blue is always a win for a shadow. So let's add a little bit of this. This is the 565. And then we're going to need something for the roof. So we'll do the 856. And, you know, that's a little bright. So when we go to do the roof, we might add just a little bit of, maybe we'll add a little bit of this color to it. and just kind of make it more like a brick red, so it's not quite so dark. Okay, so this is the kind of the shady side. And so we want to get this color in here so it looks like it's in the shadows. And that will add a lot of dimension to our little structure. You can see how it just looks like it's just going right back in the background. And then let's get this, let's do the, so we can see the difference here. So here's the red. This is the bright red, and you can see that's pretty red. That's pretty red. So we want to add a little bit of this color to it. And let's add a little bit more here. And just kind of mix that up a little bit so that we can see the difference in the color. Okay, that's way better. See how much darker that is? You can even add a little bit more. See how much more of a brick red that is than this bright color? Just don't be afraid to do that. Oh, I guess that's my project. I guess I can't just set that aside. Whoever gets this, you guys, I'm so sorry. It's all marked up on the back. Okay, so we're gonna do each section at a time with the roof. Just brush your color in here. Ooh, I like that color, it's pretty. And we're going to keep these little sections separate. Like so. And then let's do our doors. You can mix some really cool colors. Don't ever think that you're just locked into the pens that you have, especially when you're painting things, you know, when you're adding color, you know, to structures and things like that. Mix your colors. Okay, let's do this little roof also. And I notice I just left that little highlight right there. It's such a tiny thing, but you guys, the tiny things make the biggest difference. They really do. Okay, so I'm gonna clean my brush off, and then let's get the windows in, the window details. This is what changes everything. Just like with the florals, adding these darks and lights just immediately give it dimension. And this just changes everything up when we add these little window details in here. And you can use two different colors. I mean, I'm using the brown twin tone, but you could also use the dark blue twin tone, or you could use the yellow. But this barn is also so cute for Christmas. It would be so cute to look at the difference that makes. That's just amazing. And here, you know, back here, this is going to be, you know, this overhang is going to be darker. And then let's get these little windows up here in the top. And then let's do the little detail in the barn. I just do this, and I started doing this, I don't know how long ago, and I just have continued to do it, and I just think it adds a lot. Is to just make these little details in the barn. So just use a ruler and just, you know, I just usually just guess. You could make these, you know, little boards, different sizes, like the barn is a little dilapidated. And you can measure them out, you know, if you really want to make sure they're exact. I think these are a little narrower than the original ones, but it's going to always be different. It doesn't matter how many times you do this project. Me too. It doesn't matter how many times I do it. It's never going to look the same. But you guys, that's why it's original. It's original art. Okay, wow, that's a little difference there, but that's okay. Maybe what we do is we just make it look like this board is just kind of falling apart. So let's just add a little detail here. And then just go over, you know, these little sections with your pencil. And it will look like it's just a little rustic. And if you want, you can just, you know, add a few little cross pieces like that and make it really rustic. And you know how to make a hole is just by making a little triangle like that. That's it. And now let's put the shadow in, because this is really, really important. Speaking of shadows, this overhang shadow is really important, and you got to be brave. You got to be brave. So you want to be able to pull this color, make this big enough, and bring it over, and then bring it down. And you see the difference in that. This is one of those things that just really is an aha moment, I think, when you put that shadow in. And then under here, you know, where this little board is, we're going to have a shadow under there, under here. And under here. And what that does is it brings these trim boards forward, brings them forward. It makes it look like the trim is kind of sticking out. And same here with the door. And now it looks so much more three-dimensional, doesn't it, you guys? And we can also take a little bit of this blue and we'll just set these windows kind of back into the barn. Just putting this right up here and in here. And same with these doors. Okay, see how cool that is, you guys? This is how you do it. This is how you would do it on everything. Just make sure you get that, you know, that darker area back in here, and then get anything that looks like it's an overhang and get that shadow in. And then over here, you know, this also is going to be an overhang, but just a little bit darker. Okay, so now let's put in the sky. And the sky is just a watered down, really watered down blue. And just put your brush onto your paper and just kind of move it around. And just be careful not to touch, don't touch anything, any of your structures. And just kind of move it around. Let that, you know, color just kind of spread out. And your paper can hold a lot of water. Can hold a lot. Okay, so let's add our little grasses in and our florals and trees, and then we're gonna be done with this, you guys. Just that quick. We're gonna be done. Let's see. Oh, Karen, so kind, thank you. Carol, so kind. Robin, you help me see that every area is not saturated with color. Yes, Robin, you know what? When we are in elementary school and we are taught to color within the lines, like that's the biggest mistake. It really is, because it's hard to break out of that. It's really hard. And it's really hard not to want to color every single detail that you've got here and just color everything. You don't have to. And it's way better if you don't, because what happens is if you color every detail, you color everything in solid, it's flat. It's flat, and then you've got a problem. Then you got to figure out how to make it three-dimensional. So it's much better not to do that. Way better. But you are not alone. That's a struggle most people have, is when to stop adding color. That's also a struggle. Let's see. Thank you for making them so interchangeable. Yes. Different ideas for different seasons. Yes, Kathy. Love the weathered look of the barn. Me too. And I don't know why I do this, but I always have a white barn. I don't know why. I don't even really think about it, but in my mind, the barn is white. It's white and weathered. And I know there are red barns too, and you can certainly color this barn red if you wanted to. But mix the red. Mix the red. Don't use the red, the dark red. So this is the 856. This is the closest thing to a brick red I think we have that doesn't have pink in it. And so if you want to tone that out, you want to use something with yellow. And that is this brown right here. This has got yellow and blue. So it's sort of got a green tone to it. And that's what you need to calm down the red, is just a little bit of this. And I put it on here, and I just take my pen and I just make a little thing like this in it. And just keep adding it until it's the color that you like. And then it's going to look a lot more realistic. Kathy Bob says, I put this live video on my phone and listened while I went for a neighborhood walk. Great. Thanks for helping me do almost 5,000 steps and teaching me how to paint at the same time. It's a win-win. Kathy, I'm so glad to be of help to you. I can help your mind and I can help your body. Oh my. Robin says the shadows make all the difference. Robin, no kidding. The shadow, because we are starting out with a flat image. And that's what makes this whole thing so magical, I think, to me. And I've been doing this for decades. And it's still magical to me when I do these things, where we start and where we end, with a flat image. We started out with a flat, barn. And here we are. Let's do a side-by-side, you guys. If I haven't put it out of my sight, let's do a side-by-side and look, because it's like magic to me. Well, where did I put it? Oh, here. Okay, here. Okay, we're starting out with something like this. This is a flat image. And you know what? If you apply color to this just randomly, it looks like a coloring book. And that's what is frustrating to people, and that's why when it comes to like shadows, I just do it this way. Just do it this way to start. And then as you sort of grow as an artist, you can look at the light coming from the side. You can look at the long shadows, in the afternoons. You could look at things like that. But if you just start out doing it like this, you're going to be successful, and it will just charge you up to keep going. Because this is what's frustrating, is when you spend all this time coloring and it's flat and it looks like a coloring book. And there's nothing wrong with the way that you colored it. It's just that you're missing these things that make it look three-dimensional. You're just missing that. Look at the difference the shadow makes from this flat image, just adding that one shadow and pushing this to the background. Now we have this peak coming forward here. And this is pushed back to the, and here's where your eye is right now. We're looking at this going back into the shadows. And honestly, it's little things. Kathy says, I love sunflowers. I also looked at the shading of the trees and flowers. Yes. When I first started stamping, I knew something was different when I started to enjoy looking at the weeds on the driveway. Okay, when you look at the weeds on the driveway, look at the shadows they cast. Look at the shadows and think about where the sun is, you guys. Dorothy says, I'm making headway on unpacking my craft room during this live. It's been nice to have company. Well, you guys, I'm so with you wherever you are. I'm with you in your car. I'm with you in your craft room. I'm with you outside walking. You know what? I'm just your shadow is what I am. I'm just following you around, you guys. This is so awesome. Okay, so let's move on here and let's go to the little grasses. Let's get this in. And let's zoom out a little bit since we are just so close here now. So I'm going to ink this with the green. So this is the 177. And the grass is, it's made to walk. The grass is made to walk. And we're going to come right alongside this barn. And then we're going to do a few others. And we're just going to kind of walk down. Because it can go any direction. Okay, the grass can go up a hill. It can come down a hill. It can go over a hill like this. But it's made to walk. And it's just stamped on top of itself. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it gets lighter and darker. And that's how you get that three-dimensional look. So think about it. The grass is made to walk. That's what we do. We walk it. And then we can add just maybe a little bit more kind of right here. But we don't fill it up with grass. Don't think that you have to add grass to every single, corner of this project. And then drag this color down and then also drag it out. So up and then down. And you can, kind of mix it back in here a little bit. So down and then up. Okay, and it looks so much more natural if you do it that way. Okay, so now let's do our little trees. And you can sort of guess. I usually guess, but let me show you how to do it with the stamp positioner if you don't want to guess where the tree is going. At this point in time, when you've gotten this much done, you probably don't want to make a mistake and guess where this is going. So I'm just going to put this in the corner here, and then I'm going to ink my little tree. Okay, it's actually a branch, but we're using it as a tree. So I'm gonna use a dark color here first. So the 969, and I'm just inking the whole thing. Inking the whole thing, placing this back in the corner, and hold it like this. This is what I do. I hold it like this. So I've got one finger on here, one finger on here. And then I'm gonna stamp it right in the corner. And now I can see exactly where that tree is going. And I think I'm just going to put it, maybe I'll stamp it over the barn a little bit. Maybe I'll just turn it a little bit like that. Okay, so I'm going to put this back in. And now I'm going to add a little bit of green to it. So I inked it in that brown, and I'm just going to add a little bit of green, and then I'm going to just darken this darker area here where the tree trunk is with a little bit more of the brown. So this is the 969 brown. And don't bump that. Don't bump it. So now put your hand back over here. And now you're going to place this in the corner. And now you're going to stamp it right here, just like that. Okay? And you're just going to get a really nice combination of colors so that it doesn't look really dark like a black tree in the background. Okay? And now we can add our foliage. So don't do anything with the tree yet. So we're just going to add our foliage to it. And this can go either way. So you can turn it, and you can turn it the other way also. And I'm just going to add in a few little trees. And you can make the tree, kind of as sparse as you want to. Maybe we'll just do another few right here. And then over here, if you want to add, just a little bit more of the foliage, maybe you just want to see a little bit of a tree coming out over here. And then we're just touching this, just kind of dabbing at it with your brush. And it's going to kind of mix in a little bit of this color also from the branches. And then we can just get a little bit of this, like there's another tree kind of behind the barn that's just sort of peeking out. And now you can add a little bit of color, here. You could make the trunk a little bit wider. And just to get a little bit of that on here. And that's all. That's all you have to do. Okay, so now let's do the little flowers, and then you guys, we're going to be done. We're going to be done with this. Well, we're going to add the white paint. Okay, so let's do this. We're going to use the blue, so the 565, and I'm just going to ink, this little area here. Just kind of this little area. Now you can use your stamp positioner again if you want to, but I'm just going to eyeball it, and hopefully I get it in the right place. Okay, that's pretty close. Sort of close. And just stamp it a few times. And then we'll get this down here also. And maybe we just want to get a few kind of in there. And then just tap it and kind of just let the color bleed out. This is in the background, so you don't need to see a lot of detail. We can kind of drag a little bit of that blue around the back so that it kind of looks like there's flowers back there too. And just make sure that you don't color everything in solid. Okay, how cute. How cute. I think we are good on everything here in the barn, so let's add the white paint to it because that is going to make a huge difference. And I think I'm going to switch to my little brush so I can get this detail in the barn door. So I'm just going to take some of this, and I want to, water this down, quite a bit so that I can, get this paint to flow. And then I'm just going to start in the corner. And again, don't worry if it's not perfect. So I'm going to start in the corner and just drag it down. And then we're going to do it again. On here. And then we'll just go over it here. On here. And then let's do the one up here. Oops. Got a little too much paint on there. So we're going to do a little crossbar. Like so. And then we can add just a few little, we got to have those little white flowers. In the background. How cute is that? And here's where you can add a little highlight. If you are kind of missing a little highlight on your sunflower, you can add some even to the little petals. I mean, just, you know what? You can add as much as you want on there. So cute. Okay. I think we are good, you guys. So let me sign And let's see if there's anything else. Oh, you know what? Let's just put a little door handle on here. On those little doors. And I think we are good. I don't think there's anything else we have to do to this. This looks good. Now here's where you can add, you know, that extra little foliage if you want to. That I showed you in the beginning. If you want to drag this down, or you want to make it just a little bit longer, or you just kind of want to fill this in a little bit, you could add just a little bit of this foliage in here. And I just ink the tip, just the very tip. And then just add your, you know, add water to it, and don't make any horizontal lines. And you can drag out, you know, some of this too in here. You can drag out some of the yellow and the green. It's going to kind of just, you know, fill this whole thing in. And just make it look so good. Okay, you guys. I love it. Wow, what did I do here? You know, an eraser will just take care of that. We'll just take that right off. So the person who gets this, I promise I will trim this off for you so that you don't have to deal with that. Okay, so let me just go over this really quickly again for those of you who may have just jumped on. We have a new release, and that is the project that I just did. This is it right here. Oh, you know what, you guys, I didn't do something here on the roof. So let's just zoom back in. I wanted to make this look like a metal roof. So I just came down here with these lines using the bullet tip. Just like that. That's how easy it is. That's how easy it is, you guys, just to make a metal roof like that, and leave a little bit of a detail or a little bit of a highlight right here where the roof where the roof bends. Okay, so we've got these. Okay, let me show you what is in this new release. So let me move everything out of the way, because you know, who knows what mess I'll create. Let's see, and also let me go over this too. Wow, do I ever make a mess? So this one. So there are seven in this new release. And it is a continuation of the previous release from last spring. And there were 5 new sets in that release. And this is what they look like. So they look just like this. And this is, in addition, this is the second series in that. And there are 7 in here. So let me show you what those are, and then let me show you the samples of what those are. And let me show you this. This is the class supply list that you can find on our website. So you can click on that and you can see all of this information here. All of these videos are up and ready to go, so you can follow along with Kim. You can find this class on our website, and she has everything listed on here. These are all samples of things that you'll be doing in the class. So she's going to go through every single one of these of this release. So you'll be able to see how to watercolor all of these things. So that is available right now. Online class with Kim. This is an online class only, so there's no kit. This is just tutorial videos only that is in this class. Okay. So there are 7 things, and this class is, by the way, almost 4 hours of instruction. So it's got a lot of information in it. But there are 3. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 Christmas, 2 fall themed, and then 2 sets of, wow, you guys, I am just, 2 sets of structures. So where are those structures? Oh, here they are. 2 sets of structures. All right, so 2 sets of structures in here, and then 5 foregrounds that go in this countryside series. So the Christmas, this little one, you can see the sample on the package. This one, and these all will work the same way. So they're shaped like a U so that your structure, your background can fit right down inside there. This one with the poinsettias, just like the one that we did today. Here's the sunflowers that we did today. And then here is the fall version. So let me just show you really quickly a sample of each one of these. So here is the fall one with that barn that we just did. And you can see the little, let's zoom in here a little bit more so you can see. And you can see how to color that. And this is just 2 pieces. So it's the foreground and then it's the background on here. And then this one is the sunflowers that we just did. And here is the actual sample of that mounted. And they come with a little sentiment. Each one of these comes with a sentiment so that you can add it to your card or to your framed picture. Okay, there's this one. And then the poinsettias. How cute are these? It looks like just a little frame in here. Again, in the same idea of the U shape so that your little structure can fit down inside. So that one. And then, oops, this one. And then this little Christmas one, very traditional. And you can see it with the little church, the little chapel. So here's that foreground again in the U shape. And then your structure just fits right down inside there, just like that. Okay. And then this other more whimsical one. And you can see this one right here in the front. So this right here. And then let me show you. Where's that other one? Show you what that little Santa's workshop looks like. And it's, oh wait, maybe it's in here. Nope. Okay, well this is the little Santa's workshop. Looks very similar to this. And it will fit right inside, and it's part of this, part of the little structure set. So here's this one. And then here are the 2 structure sets. So the little Victorian house, here's the little Santa's workshop, and you can see it on here. Here's the sample of it. And then these 2 structures. This is the one that we did today, and the little chapel. This is the one that we did today. So this is available in a bundle. There are 7 sets in the bundle. You can see it on the website. And then also the class is on the website as well. And be sure to say, if you guys want to be entered in the drawing, I'll give this one away. You guys, I'll give this one away that isn't marked up. But you can, you'll be able to see these samples on our website also. Okay, does anybody have any questions on anything? Thanks for all your encouraging words, you guys. Can't wait to get the new countryside. Okay, you guys, I don't see any I don't see any more questions on here. Let me switch back over. Okay, you guys, if you have any questions, leave it in the comments. You can email us also, feedback@artimpressions.com. And I hope you guys give these a try. They're so much fun and they're so interchangeable. And don't forget the ones that you have, if you've gotten these in the past, all of these little structures are going to work with these new foregrounds in the countryside. So the countryside series, which is what this is a part of, is all going to be interchangeable. You can be able to use whatever structures you want with whatever foregrounds. Okay, and don't forget Kim's class. Got this right here. Don't forget this, available on our website, 4.5 or 4 hours of instructions for those of you who just want to go step by step through all of these projects. Okay, you guys, thank you so much for being on with me. I appreciate it. We'll see you all next week. Next week is Bible journaling at 8 o'clock Pacific time, 8 a.m. Pacific time. So I'll see you all then. And for now, have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you back next week.